so we've got our two different pieces here, our A and our B piece. And what we're gonna do is we are going to use the drill press to drill some very straight holes into the sides and face of our pieces. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the piece, this A piece that's already been cut like this, and we're gonna be putting our holes on these two sides of our piece. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure in a 1/2 inch. So notice the 1/2 inch right here, it's the second longest line, so that's like 1.5 inches. This is 1/2 inch. So we're gonna measure in a 1/2 inch this way, and I'm just gonna make a little mark right there. And then we're gonna do a 1/2 inch on this side, coming in as well. Right there. I'll use my speed square, if I can. There we go. Just make a quick mark. We'll do the same on this side. So notice I measured a 1/2 inch from this end and a 1/2 inch from that end. That's important that they're the same. Okay, and then I'm gonna measure a 1/2 inch from this end and a 1/2 inch from this side. So I'll go here, and I could mark it on this. You can also use your speed square to measure if you like. That might be a little bit easier. So I can come over here on the side. Here, I'll actually flip it. Come over here, and I'm at 1.5 right there. So this would be the 1 inch mark right here. You can kind of point right to that, and then make my line. Okay, and I can do the same on this side. Let's flip it over. So again, I'm just measuring down 1/2 inch. I'll make that mark. They should be the same line, so if you really want to get fancy, you could try to do it straight across, but oops, I went a little high on that one. Do that again. There we go. Okay, so X marks the spot right here, and right here are where our two holes are gonna go. So that's the measurement for this one. For this one, we're gonna actually measure along the face of this piece rather than like this edge here. So on the face, I'm gonna measure 3/4 of an inch. So again, I can take my tape measure. So 3/4 of an inch is gonna be this mark right here. So notice the 1/2 inch was this long, the 1/4 inch is the little shorter guys here. So this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, right? So this is the 3/4 of an inch mark right here. And I'm gonna just fumble with my tape measure for a bit. Can get something like this. I'll put a little arrow here. And then I'm gonna do 3/4 of an inch from this end as well. So grabbing my tape measure, pointing to that 3/4 inch mark right there. And if I want to double check that measurement, I can always use my my speed square here. So I'm going to look at, just to double check, we're at 3/4, yep. And this one is also at 3/4. All right, so now I'm going to make my straight lines. Come over here. My line coming across. Over here. Line coming down. A little off there. Okay. And then I'm gonna measure a 1/2 inch up. So we've got our 3/4 marks, 1/2 inch from this end. So right here, find my 1/2. I'll do a 1/2 over here as well. And then I'm gonna try and find a straight edge here. There we go. There's my 1/2 inch all the way across. Okay. So then again, that's X marks the spot. This one's really off. Let me redo that. I think it's this end is not quite true. There we go, that feels a little better. Also might be your pencil, so make sure you're using a really sharp pencil for this. Okay, so that's my mark there. That's my mark there. Those are the two spots that we're gonna be drill pressing. So it has some instructions right here if you need help. We're also going to be referencing this chart, although for this particular exercise, you're not going to need it, so we're not going to go into too much detail. But as you advance in the class, you'll start to reference this a little bit more. The drill press turns on and off with this switch right here. So this rotates to turn on, and rotates again to turn off. And basically, you can think of this as just a big drill. It has an arm on the side that we crank down to raise and lower the drill. And there's an indicator up here that tells you the RPM of the drill. For this particular exercise, we're going to be using roughly 3,000 RPM. So if you come to the machine and it doesn't say 3,000, you can adjust it here with this crank. So I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. It doesn't have to be exact. I'll turn it off again. We've got this shield that needs to be in front whenever you're drill pressing, and we've got a clamp here. We're never going to hold anything with just our hands on the drill press. We're always going to use a clamp and hold it down really, really tight, and we're going to do the wiggle test to make sure everything fits. So you can find drill bits over here of various sizes. Now these sizes may not match the numbers under here, so just double check before you drill. There's also some other drill bits sitting in these various drawers. But for now, we've actually already got a drill bit indicated for you with this blue tape that we're going to load up in here. This chuck key can be found right here, magneted to this. We're going to use this to loosen. There's a hole right here. I'm going to put it in that hole and loosen and tighten this. And here's the chuck. So I'm going to feed the bit up into the chuck, and I'm going to tighten it. Whoop! I'm going to drop the key. I'm going to tighten it just simply by pushing this in and pushing it away from me. And that feels good to me. So whenever I tighten it, I want to make sure that the bit is straight so I can rotate it and just make sure I'm seeing it up and down and it's not coming in at an angle. If it is, then we'll loosen it and do it again. I'm going to put the key right back. I'm going to take this piece of wood, and what we can do is we can lower this and kind of find our spot. So I'm lowering it to where all those guys cross, right there. And then I'm going to make sure I don't move the wood. It's good to have a friend for this one too. I'm going to bring this clamp over here. Make sure you don't clamp your hand, and clamp down. Now, I'm going to double check. Did that move at all? Nope, it's in the right spot. I'm going to do a wiggle test. So this is a little loose. I can tighten this guy right here just by moving this. There's like a little indicator right here that I can adjust with my thumb. The plus tightens it, the other side loosens it. So again, I'm just going to double check. Am I in the right spot? Yep. While I'm holding it, I'm going to clamp it down. If you clamp it down while you're not holding it, it's not going to be, it'll jiggle around. Okay. So the next step is we're going to come around on this side and we're going to set a stop. So I'm going to touch the top of the wood. I'm going to hold it there, and you see this nut. This nut adjustment allows you to set a stop for how deep you're going to go. We're going to ignore this second one. Let's leave it up here. But there's actually like inch indicators on here. So whenever we touch it to this, we can measure up from that as deep as we need to go. Now we're only going to go on B, we're only going to go down about 1/2 inch. So it's not going to be a super deep plunge into this. So I can use my tape measure if you don't want to do mental math. I'm going to lower this to touch the top surface. I'm going to measure here, and I'm going to look at where that indicator is. Okay, the half lines up with this half line right here. And so I'm going to move this until the nut is touching that. Perfect. Okay, so for B, I'm going down 1/2 inch. I'm going to do my wiggle test. It's good. Remove my extra piece of wood. I'm going to have my safety equipment on. I'm going to move this shield here. Turn this guy on. Make sure it says 3,000. I'm going to go down until I hit this. So I've hit this this stop right here. It's not going to go any deeper. Come back up, turn off, and I'm going to wait for that to completely stop. So I'm not going to reach in there while it's still spinning. I'm going to wait for it to stop. Now I can move this aside, lift this guy up, and that's the first hole. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'll do that in a different video, or I'm not going to do that in this video just because we only need to do one. But you'll do the second one. Then on this guy, remember we're hitting these two tops here. So we're gonna set this same system in place, find the spot, okay? That looks good. Then while I'm still holding it, I'm clamping it down. I might have to adjust this little head to properly grab. Okay, that feels very secure. I'm gonna double check my spot here. Perfect, close that. This one, our stop has now changed, right? Because it's a different height. So I'm gonna need to adjust that stop again. For this one, we're gonna go down a full inch, okay? So for A, we're gonna go a full inch. So I touch it to the top. I'm gonna measure an inch. Okay, the inch indicator is roughly right there. So I'm gonna get this guy a little closer before I make my final adjustments. A little more. Just a tiny bit more. Perfect. Let that come up. Same system. Got my wiggle check. It's not moving. I'm gonna turn this on. I'm gonna come down into the material. Now sometimes we do it a little bit at a time, so we don't just like plunge through. The reason for that is because it helps the bit, one, maintain its verticality, and then also bits can start to overheat if you push them too much. So we're gonna go all the way down. I've tapped that, coming back up, turn off. I wait for it to completely stop, and then I'm gonna flip it around and do the other side. So you and your partner can decide which one is who's gonna drill press what, or if you guys want to take turns on the same one. But you should have 2 holes in A and 2 holes in B by the end of the drill press.